In South Africa, there are black communities.
Yes.
There are colored communities, which are people that look like you and I, and there are white communities. Chinese were considered black.
And Japanese people were considered white. But in South Africa, because you had a situation where 6% of the population was in power, and they were trying to control the remaining 94%. How do you go about doing that? That's a Herculean task. In America, you had the one-drop rule. So if you were a person who had a drop of black blood in you, you were black. In South Africa, they couldn't allow the same metric because that meant you would now be a black person who is added to the majority, and the majority increasing was not something they wanted. So instead, what they set out to do was, they said if you were a person who was black, and then you were also half white, they would then recategorize you as a new race, and that race they called colored.
Hello everybody, welcome once again to AfriPost. I believe wherever you're watching us from, you are doing good. Now before I say anything, I know this is a festive season, and each and every one of you, wherever you're watching us from, I want to take this opportunity to wish you a happy holiday and Merry Christmas, because today is the Christmas day. For those who are waiting for the New Year celebrations like me, let's wait for it and see how it pans out. Now today I want us to talk about this question of colorism, because it is a serious issue in United States and also partly in Africa, and especially in South Africa. There is this singer who is getting out, and she's really becoming a big artist now from South Africa. She's called Tyla. Now she's sparked some online debate about the question of colorism and being colored. Now when she was asked who she is, she's identified herself as being a colored person. You must understand that this term colored really means different things to different people depending on the culture that you're coming from. Now Tyla identifies as a colored person, but then you know she is based in the United States where she's doing some good work there. And then again, what comes out is that black community in the United States, the African Americans, were not happy about somebody who is considered black in the standards of United States identifying as being colored, because to United States people or to African American people, being colored is something that is insultive. It is something that is derogatory. It is something that was used as a term that was racist to some extent. So it is something that is really sparking debate, and it has brought a lot of online debate and different conversations going on here and there. I want you to take a listen to these kind of discussions that have been going on, and let's talk about it later after you've listened to this video. Take a listen.
Colored people are their own ethno-racial group in Southern Africa. They have their own culture, heritage, and history, and I need people to understand this so that they stop using their Western definitions of colored and then imposing them on colored people in South Africa, because in some way you're contributing to the erasure of colored people and the significance that they have within the conceptualization of the African identity, of the Southern African identity. And I think I'm kind of getting frustrated because other people just don't want to understand that what is happening in the West is not always happening in other parts of the world. Yes, we have the same English. Yes, we do have certain things that are similar, but connotations to words are not always going to be the same because our relations with colonization weren't the same, right? And that's okay. Like, a difference is okay. And I think we need to embrace that difference instead of trying to impose similarity on people. And by imposing similarity, sometimes you make the mistake of erasing the significant parts of other people's cultures that you don't want to
be colored is what they call the black people before we got rights in this country. You saying she's colored, not black, baby, that's why everybody's eating you up right now.
There's this thing that's unique to Africa, which is we can fight each other, but if some stranger comes for one of us, they come for all of us, okay? There's this saying in Egypt that goes, my brother and I will fight my cousin, but my cousin and I will fight a stranger. And that's literally a description of Africa. You come for one of us, you come for all of us. And this South African artist, colored is an ethnicity in South Africa, but then this chick came and said, colored in America is what we called ourselves before we had the right to call ourselves black, like she said in the video. And South Africans were telling her that no, colored is an ethnicity. This is what they call themselves in South Africa. And she was just doubling down and saying what she said, which is so comical because, first of all, she's like, in America, girlie, do you understand that the world does not revolve around America? you know, around the States. South Africa is a country in Africa. Okay, Africa is not North America. South Africa is not the United States of America. So that's first of all. Second of all, has anybody noticed that African Americans know only 2 words for ethnicities, which is black and white? They don't know anything. Like, there is not another word. Like, I made a video saying that North Africans aren't white. You know, we're not white, because they were saying that we are colonizers, and the reason our skin tone is this is because we stole the land from, you know, black Africans, and Africans can't be this skin color, and that we're white. And that's that's legitimately and like actually what they think. This is literally like they are 100% convinced that all Africans are black and anybody who looks like me is white. That's so comical, because the thing about Africa is that we have every single skin tone and we have every single ethnicity in our continent. It's probably the most diverse continent of all the continents in the world. But then you have Americans who think that their political views, their definitions of race, their definition of ethnicities, like they literally think that their like rules, their societal rules, are the rules that apply to the rest of the world. Not only that, but they have this sense of entitlement where they're always amazed that other countries don't really give a crap about their definition of things. Like, this is a country that just discovered using kettles to make tea and putting butter on toast, and they're calling it a food hack, and it's like, people are still using checks. Like, you don't understand how backwards and so far in the past you are. This girl is just, it's so ignorant not to listen to the people of the country you're talking about. The artist herself calls herself colored and is proud of that. South Africans are telling this girl, no, it's called colored, it's not called black. And she's like, no, y'all are wrong and I'm right, because in America, that's the way it is. And like, bestie, the world doesn't revolve around you or your definition. Like, you live in this bubble where you think that the rest of the world literally should live in the same bubble as you. And the rest of the world, and specifically Africans, don't give a crap about your definition. Because Africans will not call us white. Africans know that in Africa, we are very diverse. And we are all equally Africans. And when you come for one of us, you come for all of us, okay? You chose the wrong country. You chose the wrong people to pick a fight with. You cannot beef with Africans. Like, we do not allow beefing with one of us. We stick together in situations like this. We are united, and you need to kind of learn your lesson and stop being so stubborn about your opinion. Because if you go to this girl's page, first of all, the video is still up, which is I don't believe that you should take a video down just because you've been proven wrong. But yeah, like, if you let the video up, then you should make a follow-up video apologizing, because you need to apologize to South Africans. And also, I genuinely believe in making mistakes and learning from your mistakes. You made a mistake and you said that, no, she's black. And then South Africans, the people of this country, corrected you. They know better than you. You do not, your knowledge is not superior to the native people of the country. You should listen to them and you should learn from your mistakes. Educate yourself, because the worst part about this is that she said, educate yourself. The closet is made of glass. You are the one who needs to be educated. So please, I'ma need Americans to stop inserting themselves in our business, okay? Your education system has failed you so much that even when we tried to educate you, your education system and your society has convinced you that you were right, has convinced you that you're the greatest country in the world, and you walk around with this sense of entitlement, when in fact, you are a third world country in a Gucci belt, okay? Like, no, you need to just kind of come to, like, arrive to the modern world, learn how it works, okay? Because this is just laughable and honest to God embarrassing. How can you be so proud and so loud about your ignorance? Like, are you not embarrassed? How are you not embarrassed? And that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
I just realized something quite ironic about Black Americans not wanting colored people to identify as colored and identify as anything else. Black Americans, their ancestors were taken from Africa, taken to America, and eventually stripped of their identity. And then through hundreds of years, they formed their own identity that we know today as Black American, as African American, the Black American culture. They have their own food, their own style, their own way of talking, their music, all of those things. And the ironic thing is, that's exactly what happened to colored people. The only difference being the mix of DNA was a lot more vast from all over Asia, Africa, and Europe. The problem is people think it's about the word colored and that we are just a group of mixed people and that we can identify as whatever we look like. Telling colored people to not identify as colored is like telling an African American, a Black American, don't identify as Black American, just African, even though they have no real connection to their African heritage, their tribal heritage, and they form their own identity through hundreds of years. That's exactly the same story with colored people. So when you see a person that presents as Black or presents as Asian, and that person tells you, no, I'm not Asian, I'm colored, just accept it, because being colored is all they've ever known.
Now, if you listen keenly to the kind of conversation that is going on, it's like most people do not understand where Tyla was coming from, because Tyla has been raised in South Africa. And in South Africa, we know that we have different races there. We have the whites, we have the blacks, and then there is this middle race that is a mixture of races. They are neither black, they are neither white. So they are referred to as colored. So these people have gone through different facets of life. They have faced a lot of challenges. As Trevor Noah explained it earlier before. So this is something that is really serious, and it's a debate that most South Africans are really having it in the hardest way possible. So when Tyla came out to talk about this situation, I do not understand why African Americans were offended by her identifying as a colored person, because you must understand that she's coming from a background of accepting the term colored as the only identity that she can use to identify herself. Because if she's in South Africa, she cannot identify herself as being black. While in the United States, African Americans would want her to identify as a black person. But that is not the case in South Africa. The offense that these African Americans are taking against Tyla for identifying herself as a colored person must really stop. They must understand that Tyla is coming from a background that is accepting that term. And this goes further to tell us that the issue of race is something that it could be, I would say that it is something that is learned. It is something that is taught, because if you ask her as a person identifying as being colored, even in South Africa, some people do not see any offense with it. Then why would somebody who does not understand that culture, or who does not understand the background of the person, try to take offense out of what he or she identifies as? So for me, I believe that this is something that really must be put into perspective. Let us accept each and every other person, because this ethnic group is a group of people who you cannot pin them down to a specific identity, because they are mixed races here. You'd find that they could be as a result of an engagement between a black person and a white person, an Asian and a white person, a Japanese and a white person, something of that sort. So these people try to give us a mixed race that is really something that also explains the history of South Africa as it is. Because you know that South Africa has had a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to the issue of apartheid. So this is something that must be understood. So to my African American brothers, wherever you are, you must understand that even if you're offended by the terms that Tyla is using to identify herself, it is always very good to, first of all, dig and understand the background where this person is coming from. And this also explains the challenge that most African Americans and Africans are going through. You'd realize that there is this rift that has been publicized largely. And for me, I take it that it is something that has been propagated by the media largely, because the media has put it that African Americans are against Africans. And in a real sense, there are some African Americans who have come out and said that they hate Africans, immigrants who come and get and settle and get jobs in United States, because what is their claim? They say that these Africans have come to our country and they are here to take up our opportunities and get the good things out of us. Yet they did not go through the kind of challenges that we went through. People have had different discussions about this. And this issue that now you see Tyla is also experiencing must be understood by the context within which that discussion is placed. Tyla is a South African. She is from a colored ethnic minority that is largely around 9% of the South African population. These people are a product of the mixed race relationships that happened during the apartheid period. They have formed their community and they have been identified as colored people in South Africa. And therefore, when they come to United States, the only good thing you must do is that embrace them as they are. Embrace them as they are. Let us not be discriminatory, because that would also be part of what we call racism. Because if someone accepts to be identified in a certain way, why would you feel offended about it? You are African American. You are a black person. You do not understand the culture and the life in Africa. So you must first of all ask or do your research and understand the context within which somebody is identifying themselves as either black or colored. So that is it from me. I hope wherever you are watching, you're having yourself some good time, and I hope we will understand each other and accept each other, because as black people across the globe, the kind of challenges we go through, the discrimination we face from different races is something that is really high. We are hated across the globe, and therefore, as black people, we must always come together and ensure that we give our best to our own, and we grow together and be the best that we can. That is it from me. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and remember, as always, I wish you happy holidays, enjoy yourself, have merry, and please always take care, because we also need you after these celebrations are done. Thank you, and let's meet in our next video. Goodbye.